This is Thank You Mama, weekly lessons from mothers all around the world. Hello and welcome to Thank You Mama. My name is Anna Teider. And I am really, truly excited today because today we are doing what this podcast is promising to do, which is connect with women and mothers from all over the world. My guest today is from Kenya. We are talking to Kenya right now. Hi, Wanjiku. Wanjiku is a podcast host. She has her own podcast called A Life and Purpose. She is originally an accountant and works in international business operations right now. Welcome.
Thank you so much, Anna. So good to be in your show.
It's so exciting to have you here, and I'm very, very excited to learn about your mom. But will you first tell us about yourself a little bit, about your podcast and about where you're from and your day job?
All right, great. Thank you so much once again. So my name is Wanjiku Kiarie. I am from Nairobi, Kenya, raised and born in a place called Naivasha, which is about 100 kilometers away from Nairobi, which is the capital city of Kenya. I am the host of a podcast called Life and Purpose, and I also moderate corporate and social workshops and events. I'm a mom, a career woman who, as Anna has said, has a background in finance and accounting, but have now transitioned into practicing international business operations. My podcast started when I started my journey of self-discovery, but this also had started way before, like when I became a mom 5 years ago. I began to have the passion to live and be the best version of myself. And with time, that desire to positively impact the world came to me. And that's how I started this podcast, so that it could be a platform which inspires others on a similar journey to also unlock their full potential and also show up as their best selves. So each podcast episode shares my learning, my experiences, what I'm unlearning, mindfulness, and just the positive living experiences that I go through.
That's very exciting. I remember when we spoke first, you told me how you would be talking to your friends about what you're experiencing in learning. And they said, you need a platform. You need to put this out into the world. So I like it that your friends supported you to do this. That happened with my first book, where my friends were like, this needs to be published.
Wow. Yeah, it's amazing. Yes, my friends did encourage me to just begin documenting my lessons. And that's how the podcast was born.
But tell me about Mama Frasia. Did I pronounce that correctly?
You did great. Thank you so much. Yes, Mama Frasia. She's Frasia Kiarie, Frasia Wanjiku Kiarie. Those are her full names. She is 63 years old. Also, of course, Kenyan. Very gracious, very tall, hardworking, an amazing, amazing woman. We are sisters, 4 sisters in our family. So she mothered 4 girls, and she's married to my dad. They live together in Naivasha right now. Yeah, and enjoying her retirement.
You told me she used to be a teacher.
Yes, she used to be a primary school teacher for over 34 years and retired just as she was approaching her 60s.
And is there a story about how she met your dad or anything? I get some awesome stories about how my parents met.
I actually think they met like at the workplace.
Mm-hmm.
My dad was also a teacher. He's a retired teacher. So they met at the workplace, like when they were both teaching, and they fell in love. And yeah, they got married. There's no very interesting story there. But yeah, that's how they met.
Do you know how old she was when she got married and became a mom?
My eldest sister is 40. And she's 63. So she must have been in her early 20s.
Mm-hmm. So what did you learn from her?
My goodness, the lessons from my mama are like endless, but I'll try and summarize.
We were so quick to do introductions. We have a lot of time for your mama's lessons.
Awesome. So the first lesson that really she taught me and my siblings was on Christianity, faith, and prayer, if I can just lump them together. So she brought up my sisters and I, just teaching us the word of God, taking us to church every Sunday, teaching us how to pray, the doctrines of our religion. We are Anglicans. So she really brought us up through all the things that all Anglicans are meant to do. And also just having faith and developing personal relationship with God, yeah? And I remember one thing that really sticks out for me when I think about my mom's lessons when it comes to spirituality and faith is there's a time or a season rather that my dad really used to drink. And it was really messing up a lot of plans in the family, financial, there was no happiness. We were teenagers then, so we were beginning to also resent him. And I recall my mom would just pray. She would wait for when he was sober and, just talk to him, tell him how his drinking is affecting his girls, and she would also guide us to respect him, even though we were at that point getting a little bit rebellious towards him. And what was more important for my mom was that she was so forgiving. And every time he would come home drunk and mess up, she would just pray and just love him and forgive him. And my sisters and I were reflecting on that the other day and saying we don't know how she did it.
Wow.
But it paid off. It paid off because one day he just woke up and he said, "Take me to church. I'm ready to just leave this drinking issues." And, he turned around and he has never looked back. And it's been over 20 years and they're best friends. So for us, it was really a lesson of how faith and prayer and being positive and forgiveness can really restore families.
That's an amazing story. She's a real hero. How long did that phase last?
Gosh, I think it lasted over 10 years, to be honest.
And she had 4 daughters in Kenya and was working.
Yes.
That must have been so hard on her.
It was so hard because, and also there were those embarrassing moments when, he'd be found drunk somewhere and the people would come to her home and knock and ask her to go and get him. There were moments that were not really nice, but she was there in her faith and, she really, really taught us a lot during that phase.
So do you implement this?
Myself?
Yes. Do you implement what you've witnessed with her to pray and to stay positive and to forgive? And
Yes, I do so much such that it's one of my values. I really take it seriously. I'm a Christian. I go to church. I pray. I'm developing a personal relationship with God because that's a whole journey altogether. And also forgiveness. I actually have an episode on forgiveness on my podcast where I talk about how for me it's so easy to forgive because I know that forgiveness mostly is not usually for yourself. I mean, for the other person, but it's just for yourself. You just let it go. And it really lifts a lot of burden from you if you do forgive. So I follow that totally.
It's so interesting. I just spoke to my best friend in Croatia today, and we spoke about forgiveness and how important forgiveness is. But also, she said, but please don't forget that you should not forget. It's, it's one thing to forgive, but do not forget what happened. And I felt that was a very, very interesting point to just not blindly forgive and stumble into the same thing over again, but to forgive but not forget.
That's very interesting because my principle usually is forgive, but pick the lessons from whatever situation it is that you're forgiving. Yes, pick the lessons so that next time you don't find yourself in the same issues again.
Exactly. I think that's the same point.
Exactly. Yeah. So another lesson from my mom, is on work ethic, ambition, resilience, responsibility, and just going after somebody's dreams. So my mom has always been a hard worker. Over the 35 or so years that she was teaching, she would always wake up early, get us ready for school when we were in school, and then get to school by, say, 7 a.m. in the morning. And that's because she always had leadership responsibilities in her workplaces. And she would just work so hard and, the entire day, and then come home in the evening and also, take care of the family with dinner and all of that. And one other aspirational thing that really inspires us about our mom is that even towards the end of her career, she actually went back to school and advanced her education and was able to even get to a grade higher, even as she was approaching retirement. It was actually a year to her retirement. And even now, she's retired, but she is such an early riser. She's so hardworking. She's farming right now and also running another shop as well in the town. She is just so hardworking, and we have seen what that does and how that pays off.
How does it pay off?
I mean, you get to get ahead in life, in your roles at the workplace. The fruits come when you're really hardworking and resilient. And, that responsibility also comes with other people also realizing that you're good at what you're doing. And they end up, recognizing your abilities and rewarding you as well.
Do you think that continuously working, keeps you young? Because I have a feeling from what I'm witnessing now, people who just retired and stopped completely are growing older and older, and people who never stop working in this form or the other just keep young, both mentally and physically. Do you think you see that with Mama Frasia?
Oh, yeah. Actually, that's very interesting because everybody who sees my mama keeps saying there's no way you're retired. There's no way you're in your 60s. She's still standing upright, still looking young, still fresh, So I do agree that if you keep working and, that agility helps you slow down the aging process. Yeah.
Anything else?
Oh, yeah. Another lesson. Oh, the lessons are many. So another lesson was on money matters. So if just to put it in context, she was teaching like the primary school level here in Kenya, and the salary is not really good because she was very open with her finances as well as my dad, really, how much they were earning. And it's a miracle how they even took us through school. So she taught us the value of saving, investing the little you have, and, just being diligent about it. And she was so diligent such that they were able to take us to some of the best schools here in the country. And for them, the value of education and ensuring that they were sacrificing so much to make sure that our education was the best was really something that we learned from her. So the saving, the investment, the value of money, the financial literacy, even if it wasn't so formal, it definitely began with Mama.
So she was the financial head of the family, as far as I understand.
Oh, yes, she was. And especially during that season that I spoke about when my dad was really not at his best, she's the one who would make sure that everything was running with the little resources that we had. And that has continued even now, actually. And we see that even in church leadership roles, people always allocate her the treasurer because she's so good with keeping records and just managing finances. So that definitely trickled down to us as well.
And you went into business then? You went into the world of accounting and financing. Did your sisters as well?
Interestingly, two of my sisters are teachers, so they followed her path.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and one is an engineer, and then there's myself. So I'm the only one who did finance and accounting. And for me, I was just interested in how to explore the world of finance and accounting.
She must be so proud of you girls.
Oh, she is. She is a very proud mama and a grandmother.
Are you close to her physically? Is she, because you said she lives somewhere else?
Yeah, she lives somewhere else, which is just about an hour and a half drive from where I live. So I make a point of visiting quite often on normal circumstances. But because of the current situation, we are actually been locked down in the capital city. We can't travel back. So I haven't seen her since March.
Oh, no.
Yeah, and it's quite difficult because I go home at least twice a month at the minimum. Yes, but we are very close and we do talk on a daily basis, actually.
How are you dealing with the lockdown? Is there an end in sight in Kenya?
Today, the president gave a speech and he was talking about how we cannot continue locking down people forever. So we foresee that the next review, which is supposed to be on the 6th of June, would see them lifting the restrictions a bit more and hopefully will begin to ease back to near normal life.
How are you dealing with homeschooling? You have a 5-year-old daughter at home and you're working and you have your podcast. How do you do all of that?
It is interesting, but I am also like a planning guru. I can plan my life to the T. So I have kind of figured out my schedules. So I do get up early, have my me time, do my meditation, plan for my day. Then when she wakes up, we have breakfast together. Then we can do an hour or two of class. Then I get into my meetings and my work. And then again in the evening, maybe we do some revision with her. And then, when she's sleeping, that's when I get an hour or two to just put in some work to the podcast.
Is this something you inherited from your mama as well, the planning, being a planning guru?
I definitely think so. I definitely think so. I'm so good at it.
So we start with money literacy.
Yes, money literacy. And now tied up to money literacy, I'd go to kindness and giving. My mom is a giver. She gives her time, her services, her money, even when she doesn't have much. And she's always so concerned when other people are going through issues or they, even sometimes people she doesn't quite know well. She really is an empath. And that is something that is really admirable in her.
You know what's beautiful is I've done 15 or so interviews until now.
Mm-hmm.
What is really, really interesting is this mom being a giver and helper and being there for other people and serving other people came a few times in interviews. What is interesting is that it's always moms who didn't come from the most affluent circumstances. I have many interviews with moms who were born into certain privileges. This doesn't come up. But then I have moms from Burma and India, and now your mom from Kenya. These moms who were not spoiled by life, and those are the biggest givers. And that's very beautiful and something we all should learn from,
Exactly. It's such a blessing to be a giver because it's the most selfless thing you can do, especially when you don't have much. And one can just see how, and it brings you so much joy, really, to just give and to bless other people with whatever you have.
But I witnessed that in Croatia, especially when the times were very, very rough right after the war in the 90s, is how people were there for each other and help each other and also financially borrow money and are just there. And it's the most normal thing in the world to ask your friends and your neighbors for any kind of help. And I'm still very surprised here in the States that people are very shy asking for help. It's a very, very different culture. And I think it does come maybe from the need, because when everybody needs it more, then it's easier to stick together and help each other.
I think, do you think this current situation, the pandemic, is going to change that? Because I have seen, for instance, here in Kenya, people really reaching out to ask for help, but also to give help, like to neighbors, to people around them. I've seen that happening a lot, even on social media. Do you think it's going to change the culture even there in the States?
Unfortunately, I am a little pessimistic about human nature in general. And my opinion is that people change for a little bit and then they forget and go back to the old ways. Right after emergencies like this, people change. But I think it takes very little to lull yourself back into your normal life as you knew it and just forget these values. Maybe, I hope I'm wrong.
One of the things I keep saying in my podcast is that, I wish we could just build a community of people who are more humane and who have these values that we are talking about. And hopefully that will, keep growing and growing and moving from generation to generation so that we can have a better people in terms of what you're talking about.
Yes.
So, yes, I hope you're wrong. But I also know that you're actually not wrong. People do forget quite easily.
My biggest hope for this situation is that people will finally understand what globalization is and that the world is not what it used to be only 20, 30 years ago, that we are so connected, so interconnected. And what happens in a factory somewhere in China has a very direct influence on what happens to our lives here in Seattle, And I think Corona is such a strong proof for that and this is where humanity for me comes in, that it's all interconnected and we are all interconnected. And here in the States, being able to go to a store and buying a T-shirt for $1 means that somebody else is not treated well and doesn't have a good life so that you can do this. This is my wish, that the big lesson will be that we are a global village now and we are interconnected and we are all human beings and really, really have to understand that our actions directly influence people across the globe and that we should just stick together and help each other if we want this planet to survive.
I do agree, absolutely. Yeah.
This was my little speech for today on globalization. Sorry, you were the guest.
I hear you and the passion in you because I also do share in the same sentiments. And I think one of the things we need to really do is to be honest with one another. And that's one of the other values that my mom did teach us. And that's honesty. Let's be ready to call out the people around us in a good way and in a respectable way. But if people are not doing the right thing, let's be ready to just stand up and say, this is not right. This is what should happen, but doing that so graciously, because my mom is the person who will tell you, you did wrong here. And this is why I think this is wrong. And I've seen that really exonerate a lot of people from situations because of her honesty. So as we think about the globalization and how our actions really intertwine and affect people that we can't even think about right now who are not within our reach, we need to be honest with each other and with our actions as well.
Yes, I like that.
Yeah.
And have the guts to stand up and say when something is not, A, to be able to recognize it, B, to be honest, and C, to stand up and say, this is not working. This is not okay. Yeah. Do we have more? Yes.
Yes. The other lesson that I hold very dearly to my heart is about parenting and raising kids. My mom really taught us how to do this by how she did it. So my sisters and I are all mothers, actually. And we can all attest to, just applying what she taught us in the way she raised us. So, for instance, she taught us that, the value system. She sacrificed a lot to make sure she gave us the best education, other needs. And once in a while, she would also treat us, when it was possible. She was protective of us as girls, but not in the way, to the extent of spoiling us. Mm-hmm. She also did something so special. My mom built a connection with each and every one of us. We can't figure, she doesn't have a favorite daughter, we all have a relationship with her. And that has really been great because that meant that we never had sibling rivalry growing up at all. We grew up being friends, actually, and we still are. And then also the way she disciplined us. My mom never beat us. And that's one of the things that my friends and in African society, a lot of parents did believe in beating as the only way to discipline a child. But my mom didn't beat us. She would speak to us, and we still, followed what she was saying and followed the rules, and we were disciplined as well. So because of the way my mom raised me, I am confident that I am raising an amazing woman in my daughter if I could just employ the principles that she did employ when she was raising us.
I love it how you say you're raising an amazing woman. It's one of my favorite quotes. I'm raising an amazing woman. I know.
And she's only 5.
Wait till she's 20.
No, I can tell you, if she goes the way she is going, I mean, she's going to be amazing.
It's beautiful how in love we are with our children.
Tell me about it. They just come to our lives and just change the meaning of love.
But what's really beautiful is how this love keeps growing. It just blows my mind every single day. When I was pregnant, I thought I couldn't love you more. And then when you were 1, I thought I couldn't love you more. And then I just love him more and more every day. And I don't know how that is possible because this love is already so huge.
Oh, I feel you. I connect with you so deeply when you talk about that, because it happens to me too. Every single day, I'm just like, wow.
Yes, wow.
How much more love can somebody have to give? Yeah, so in summary, those are the lessons, like I would say, my mama taught us, and she's still teaching us, because she'll still call us out when we go astray, even now when we are in our own homes,
Yes.
So yeah, so she's really a big part of our lives and of my life, given that I speak to her daily. I talk to her about everything and anything, so it's just amazing.
I would love to make a little recap because we have so many lessons. Would you like to do that, or would you like me to do it?
Whichever, but I think I've just talked about 6 of the lessons. So the first one was on Christianity, faith, and prayer. Then work ethic, ambition, resilience, responsibility, and just going after your dreams. Money matters, a big one, about financial education and awareness, kindness and giving, being honest and just standing up and saying the truth and speaking the truth and doing the right thing. And then lastly, on parenting, just how to raise your children.
I wrote connect with each child.
That's a big one.
I wrote protect without spoiling.
Mm-hmm.
I also wrote down discipline without physical punishment. Is that still being done in Kenya? Is that still part of raising children?
It's a big debate there. It's a big debate because the schools, they say that now kids cannot be beaten. They call it corporal punishment in schools was stopped. But we do have some parents who still administer discipline using beating, but I personally don't. I do the other discipline styles other than beating, but there are some parents who still do it, but mostly my mom's generation are the ones who swore by it, but our generation is beginning to explore and discover other ways of disciplining children.
The world is changing slowly.
Yeah, it is.
And I also wrote down, I don't know if you just mentioned it, but I wrote down forgiveness. And I wrote down being positive. Being
positive is something that I live by even today. And I talk about it a lot on my podcast, and positivity and affirmations and all of that, because, the world can overwhelm you with its issues. And because, as human beings, we tend to experience different circumstances, different challenges. But you've got to always wake up in the morning and tell yourself that I'm going to get through this. If you're going through a hard time, you've got to speak to yourself and believe that you're going to persevere. You're going to come out stronger. You have to believe that you're beautiful, that you're going to do it. You have to remain positive for you to go through life, like remaining sane.
Yes. And this is something I learned from my mom. I was just thinking about this love for life, even when it's hard, but this gratefulness that we are alive and have this life, as harsh as it sometimes is. I think is very important, this passion for being alive.
Yeah. So I see you also believe in gratitude, because that's one of my biggest things. Like even right now, whatever we are going through, I just still find reasons to be grateful, and it's very important.
Well, that works. One day it works for me and the other not. One day I'm like, this is awesome. We have food. We have this beautiful home. Kai has learned how to play piano and he's improved his German, blah, blah, blah. The next day I'm like, there's nothing positive about this. But hey, this will also soon be over.
I keep saying that for me, sometimes it's true. I have to dig deep to really think and say what really was positive today. But I write them down every night, but I always find at least one, even on those hard days, I try and find at least one positive thing.
That's something I started doing. I read it somewhere too. Before you fall asleep, to list 10 things you're grateful for in that day. And I think it's it's such an easy exercise, but it's beautiful. So we got some wonderful lessons from Mama Frasia and things Mama Frasia taught you. Was there something she did not teach you? She was not able to teach you?
That's an interesting one. But yes, upon reflection, there's something that she wasn't very good at, and that was teaching us about sex education, just basically about sex, She was a teacher and she taught science, so she would teach us about the basics about, the body, maturity, adolescence, and all that. But she didn't really get into the details of, what is sex? How do you protect yourself? When is it right to have sex? And all of that. And I think it's something that was very common with her generation of parents. They were very shy, or even the sex question was almost like a taboo for them to discuss with their children. But I think in the current world and in our generation of parents, that is a subject that we ought to know and be comfortable in teaching our kids and discussing the issues that affect or relate to sex in general.
I had a guest who said that same thing. She comes from a very Catholic mother from Korea. And she said it's important to teach your children about sex, especially your daughters, because you empower them that way. You empower them to stand to themselves and protect themselves and just be stronger women.
Exactly. And you avoid this trial and error and people just going to experience an experiment. Yes. An experiment out there for themselves. And, they might end up messing up, doing all sorts of things. So I do agree with you that we need to broach that subject and be able to talk to our kids about it. But the question is, when is it, like the time to do it? Have you thought about it?
I am copying what my mom did with me, where she told me certain things depending on how old I was, and there was never a taboo. And this is what I liked about her. I remember when she drew to me basically what sex is, what men and a woman do. She was a painter and she liked drawing things, and she would just draw this to me. So there was absolutely no mystery about it for me. And in a way, this is what and we, Nick, as well, we are doing with Kai. Of course, you give certain information at a certain age, but there's absolutely no taboo topics. We just answer or explain in a way that he at 5 can understand.
I hear you. Yeah. Great.
Yes.
Yeah, so that was the only topic or thing I feel like she didn't address properly. She tried to gloss over it, but I discovered quite a bit on her own there.
Yeah, thank you so much for being my guest.
You're very welcome.
Thank you so much for sharing Mama Frasia's lessons and wisdoms. Please say hello to her from me and my listeners.
Do.
Yeah, and thank you again. If you enjoy Thank You Mama and want to help it grow, please take the 2 seconds to leave a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. It really helps. If you'd like to get in touch, you can send me a mail at info@thankyoumama.net. You can also find me on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter under Anna Teider. That's Tajder. This was Thank You Mama. Come back next week, subscribe, and tell your friends.